the Retro Network podcast.
That's nothing new, sweetheart. You enjoy it, but it's from well before your time.
And that was a segue I had not intended, but good for you.
The flagship show for the Retro Network podcast channel.
Yes, this is the TRN podcast. Jason and Mickey with you.
Yes!
Get ready for the latest pop culture news.
We've got plenty of recurrent events headlines to get to.
Star Trek episode 49. Cobra la 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 la.
Wow, we're still making Tomb Raider movies?
What is up with that?
And topical discussions on all that stuff we grew up with and just can't leave in the past.
If I commissioned somebody to write me a song about the feeling I get when I think about the 80s, this would be it. Defunct department store mascots that should be Funko Pops.
The little elf from Heels.
All right, Funko, are you listening? Probably not. Did you watch a lot of Mr. Rogers?
No, I couldn't stand it.
Really? You hater. You freaking Mr. Rogers hater.
And now, here are your hosts for the Retro Network podcast, Jason.
Mental note taken.
And Mickey.
Have you ever had an afternoon after nap hangover?
Welcome to another week of the Retro Network podcast, episode 33. This is Jason. I'm here with Mickey. How you been, man?
Pretty good. Trying to avoid the flooding we've got going on in this part of the country this week, and now the cold and snow is set in. So staying warm and dry.
You got some nice, probably some slush going on or something there.
Yeah, no slush today. It's all pretty well frozen this morning. It started.
Yeah.
I don't know how many inches of rain we got Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, but it was a lot. The next town down from us, most roads were closed because they were washed out, and water standing all through town, standing in the McDonald's and stuff. But we're a little higher ground here, and it got up at the back of the property pretty good. Nothing can be hurt back there though, but going to work and back was an adventure, having to take a few detours because of roads not available. Mm-hmm. And now it is 22 degrees outside, and everything is frozen and freezing, and battling the elements here this week.
Yeah, my sister-in-law was pretty much trapped over there in Kentucky, not too far away from you. And
I would say so.
Couldn't get to work and all that stuff, and you never guess what they did here. So we got rain, pretty heavy rain, and there were some tornado warnings and stuff. So they delayed school for the storm, and told everybody to come in at 10. Not a 2-hour delay. Everybody come in at 10. So like where my son's school is at, there's like an elementary, a middle, and a high school, and everybody's trying to get there at 10, man. You guys have no clue. Up north, you do the 2-hour delay, so you're on your regular schedule just 2 hours later, and everybody's staggered still. So these people down here, man, they got no clue.
Well, and here too, it had started raining the day before and got real bad overnight. I remember I went to bed and it was hammering the rain. I woke up 5 hours later, it was still hammering rain.
Wow.
And the kids went to school around here and they got out at 10 a.m. And so everybody was fighting the weather and closing roads and stuff, fighting to get their kids to school, dropped off and get to work, only to get to work to find out, crap, I got to go back and get the kids.
Gosh.
And even more roads are washed out and closed now. And then they didn't go yesterday either. They ended up getting a day and a half off because of it.
Yeah.
Well, some of these areas in this county are really underwater. So
yeah,
the kids around here are like, I don't know I'm glad, but I don't know what the big deal is. It's like, kid, you need to, when you get a little older and travel this county a little more, you'll see why you were out of school today.
That's right. Yeah. I was surprised they made him go to school yesterday as well, because some of my coworkers said they saw flurries on the way into work, and that usually shuts down the whole city. When anytime there's a chance of snow, it's just chaos here. So
we're expecting half an inch of snow. There will be food hoarding, gas shortages. If you're an old person, you will not live through this storm.
That's right.
When you get that far down south,
get your bread and milk.
Be able to make all the milk sandwiches you want when it rains.
Yeah, I mean, it's warranted because you don't get the road crews don't have the salt and what they need to get the roads back, even when it does just ice over, So it's warranted, and then it's just chaos. It's funny though, just living up north all my life, and it's 6 inches and you get an hour delay and you're like, oh, you know. Anyway, how have you recovered from the Super Bowl? I'm sorry, it was not the outcome you wanted.
Well, I have done my cursing and ranting in private. I'll just say that we've got a good young team that I think is going to be good for a while. I just hope our coach learned his lesson and next time will not take his foot off the gas when he's got a lead in a big game. Because that's twice. He was the offensive coordinator for the Falcons when they blew that big lead to the Patriots in the Super Bowl.
That's right.
I mean, it's not just a fluke. It's now a trend that it's happened twice. So it's hard to be too disappointed because a bunch of young guys like that, they played hard all season. They played good. They were a fun team to watch, especially as a fan. But in general, they were a fun team to watch and just a lot of good guys on the team. And unfortunately, they ran into the buzzsaw that is Patrick Mahomes, who will probably be the man to beat for the next 10 to 12 years in the NFL anyway. So,
yeah. They ran into the number karma there too. The number 2, like this is their going for their second Super Bowl. This was Andy Reid's 222nd game coached. And it was, there's just all these 2s. I was like, if I'd have known that, I would have bet on the Chiefs, no problem. Because they had all this number karma on their side with the number 2.
Plus the color red. You know, both teams wear red, but
right.
They chose the dominant version of red, and that's usually the winner.
Yeah.
So.
And it was February 2nd, you know. So.
But, you know, we're past all that now, and, you know, I guess this is our de facto Valentine's Day episode.
Mm-hmm.
Drop with the week of Valentine's Day. Are you ready for Valentine's Day?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. Like, we don't do anything really. We'll go out to eat sometimes, and sometimes I'll remember to buy flowers or something. Well, it's not a huge deal for us.
Forget the flowers, because our sponsor for this episode has the perfect gift.
Okay.
This week is brought to you by Hostess Snack Cakes. If you don't want to go out and spend money on flowers and perfume and jewelry or, you know, all the expensive stuff, get your Valentine a ding dong for Valentine's Day.
My wife already has a ding dong. Let me tell you.
All your Valentines will love ding dongs. But one important thing to remember, if your Valentine gets more than one ding dong for Valentine's Day, she might be a ho-ho, so watch out.
Wow. I'm going to need a minute. Yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll go out there and buy some goodies for the wives, for the husbands, for the significant others. Ding dongs. You get me, man. You get me every time. I'm like, oh no, here it's coming.
I left out the part about the snowballs. But
okay, thank you. Yes, we are. We're going to do our Valentine's episode, and we're going to talk about our Mount Crushmore, is what I've been calling it.
That's a good name, by the way. You did fantastic with that one.
Those things kind of come to me, you know. Just happened to come up with that. I was like, yeah, that works. Except you kind of ruined it there with going with 5 instead of 4.
We always do 5s.
I know. It's all right.
I can cut one off if I have to. It's up to you. I can cut one off if need be.
We'll stick with 5. You said you had a solid 5, so we'll just clear off another part of the mountain there and do another face on the side there. But yeah, we've got some fun stuff coming up, even on Patreon. You know, we've been talking about that, getting you guys to check us out over there on Patreon. There's free stuff. It's not all pay stuff, so don't be scared off by that. But we've had some, you know, regular series going on. The Fashion Files, I've been enjoying those over there. And, you know, we've got our Drive-In 95 coming up on Waterworld. That's going to be later this month. I'm getting more pumped to watch it again. We talked about that a little bit, I think last week or the week before, that I've just kind of stayed away from it or had not had the motivation to go back and rewatch it. But I'm getting more excited now to go check it out again and see what I can find out of there. So
I believe that may be on our docket for tonight, is me starting that whole process tonight. So
okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
And people, don't forget, just, when we talk about these TRN Drive-In 95s on Patreon, they don't go away. The first episode, Tommy Boy, is still there ready to listen to whenever you sign up, and it will be there and ready to listen to whenever you sign up.
That is right. And I've got a surprise. Well, I guess I can't call it a surprise because I think I did say it on the air last week, but I had some stickers made of the TRN logo. I'm going to include a little something extra and get those sent out to all of our patrons this week, just as a fun little thank you for supporting us over there. And I also got something I want to mention too. We'll save it for the feedback and shout outs at the end of the episode of actually somebody that we've sponsored through Patreon recently. But coming up, man, we've got a fun show. We've got the recurrent events, lots of food talk this week. You're also going to hear about a Stay Puft Marshmallow Man figure like you've never seen before. And then 2 restaurants are joining forces to create perhaps I guess I would call it the weirdest pizza ever. It just kind of struck me this week. You initially told me about it, and then I went out and found the link and looked at it. I was like, what? Okay. I might be able to, if it comes to the U.S., that is, I'll try it. I'll try anything once, but it's just I don't know. It's just one of those things. Some may say it's a match made in heaven, and some might think it's made in hell. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm anxious to get your take on it.
You're not the only one. This whole thing come to our attention because of Karen Flieger over on Twitter.
Yeah,
hit me up wanting to know my thoughts, and I told her that would probably be best left to the podcast when I had time to gather my thoughts and more space than Twitter allows.
Yeah, so that's coming up, and then of course our TRN Time Machine segment, sponsored by Retro Days. Our Mount Crushmore, those gals from years past that we wish we could have been calling our Valentines. This is going to be fun. We got lots of feedback on this, and you were right last week, man. This is a very good amount of feedback, maybe the most we've ever gotten from everybody chiming in on their favorite crushes from the past. So this is going to be fun to go through, and we're going to give them a chance to. What I was thinking was we take all the feedback and we'd create like a listener Mount Crushmore. Choose a couple from their choices and make another one. So that is going to be fun.
The women from the past you'd like to give a ding dong to.
All right, on that note, let's get rolling on to the recurrent events. All right, leading off our recurrent events this week in the streaming world, Friends. Yeah, they're coming back, man. It's going to be a reunion special on HBO Max to kind of kick off their streaming app. Now, this is going to be an unscripted reunion special, so it's nothing that not like going to be an extra episode or something like that. I thought that would have been fun, to maybe create a one-off like special. But nope, it's just going to be you're going to get the full cast though, but they're going to be sitting around on the couch probably and reminiscing about the show. But it's still going to help launch the HBO Max platform, where of course the Friends library is going to be one of the main attractions. And I read this too. Each of the 6 stars will be paid in the $3 to $4 million range for appearing in the special. That's according to Deadline. And just for comparison, all those Netflix comedian specials, like the top name people, they usually get about 20 million. So if you add all that up, that's about average, I guess.
I seen this in the notes, and I thought the $20 million price tag for those comedy specials was outrageous.
Yeah.
Are they really pulling that kind of money back? You've already got all these subscribers. Are you gaining $20 million worth of new subscribers to see a new Adam Sandler or Lewis Black special?
I don't know.
It seems disproportionate to me. And the same thing with HBO Max and the Friends thing. Are you really going to pull in $20 million worth of viewers just to see the special? You might pull them in to rewatch the whole series, but I don't know about just the special.
Well, I can see somebody spending something like that up front to get people to initially subscribe. But yeah, I think you're right, man. I don't think all of those comedic specials on Netflix are 20 million. But where's the value? I don't know. And even like talking about NBC Peacock off the air, from what I've read, they're not expecting to turn a profit for like 3 or 4 years down the road. So it's not all these streaming services, it seems like, are jumping in from the top platform right into the water, no matter what the cost, just to get into the streaming world. And then they're hoping or planning to eventually turn a profit with this. But it's, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big price tag.
If they got that kind of money to blow, I'll just put everybody on notice now in the streaming world. If you need more content, I mean, you can get the Wax Pack flashback archives for cheap, man. Just call us up.
Yeah, man. A couple million. That's all you need. Right?
Well, probably not even that. I've sold myself for a lot less than that for a lot of other things. So.
All right. Well, that and I can't remember exactly when HBO Max is launching. I believe it's early summer. So all you Friends fans, you get to see all your favorite characters there again in their actor form, not necessarily their character form. But
I'd like to see them do something for the holidays, like the Very Brady Christmas special movie. Maybe they'd do a Very Special Friends Christmas or something where they all get back together. And that'd be money much more well spent. I believe you'd. Like me personally, I could care less about watching the actual actors sit around on the couch, but you give me a new Friends something like an hour-and-a-half movie or special, then yeah, I'd be all for that.
Gosh, yeah, I don't understand why they're so against it, or why you wouldn't try to do something like that for the money, Mm-hmm. Gosh. Anyway, all right, let's move on. Let's talk some food, man. We love talking food. This one you sent to me, actually did see it in my feed as well. Of course, it's time for the Shamrock Shake to come back at McDonald's.
Yes.
And this year, they're doing a McFlurry version of the Shamrock Shake with Oreos. Now, that got my taste buds going here. I love the Shamrock Shake. And mint chocolate chip ice cream, that was always one of my favorites as a kid. So doing that in a McFlurry, I think, is great.
The Shamrock Shake is probably one of my favorite items they have at McDonald's every year.
Yeah. I'm glad they continued the tradition too, because how often does stuff like that never come back around again? But it was such a big hit, I guess, back in the day that it's just always been there.
Yeah, well, people want to read more about it can go over to theretronetwork.com. as one of the first things that went up on the site after, actually kind of before launch last year, was the history of the Shamrock Shake.
Nice. Here's another, we'd love to try those special flavors of Pringles. New flavor coming up for a limited time only, the Reuben Pringles, like the Reuben sandwich, which is one of my favorite types of sandwiches when we go to a deli. I love the Reuben. Well, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I like a Reuben sandwich. That's one that I wonder how it'll translate to a can of Pringles. Right. But at the same time right now, I believe Walgreens is where you can find the limited edition rotisserie chicken Pringles too.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Mm-hmm. So there's a couple to keep your eye out for. Which I'm going out to town later, and Walgreens away. I'm probably going to stop and see if I can find some of these.
I might have to do that as well, man. We got a Walgreens right up the road. So, all right. Also spotted this week is the return of Dunkaroos. Do you remember Dunkaroos?
I do, but they were just a little past my prime for that kind of snacking. But I do remember them. I've had them. They were really good.
Yeah, I don't remember getting them. I guess it was sometime in the 90s when they were around. I'm not sure if it was middle, late, early, whatever. But it's not something I remember getting a lot of. So they're cookies with like frosting or something on the inside?
No. No, you got to think of it like the little snack pack crackers and cheese spread stuff that you'd spread on your crackers. There were packs like that where you had all the cookies, and then you had this frosting dipping stuff that you would dip.
I got you.
And back in the day, they had different flavored cookies mixed with different flavored icings. I think I read that these are coming back with the plain vanilla cookies with the vanilla icing and sprinkles. But man, these things were good. They were really good, and they were gimmicky because you could buy a can of Duncan Hines frosting and a box of cookies and do the same thing. And,
Right. Yeah.
which is, I tried Dunkaroos and I'm like, why hadn't I thought of this before? And then I went the route I just explained and would sit around in my late teen years and go through a whole bag of soft batch cookies and a whole can of frosting, But people, these things are, we're all about the nostalgia, buddy. This is one of those top foods. This is up there with the Ecto Cooler and things like that, that at least kids from the 90s, they remember and they want this stuff back. So this is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, I guess it just missed me altogether. I remember I used to get those little crackers and cheese with the red stick all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Those was like one of my favorite things.
Same concept, but sweeter version.
And no red stick.
No red
Just
stick.
dump the cookie.
Yeah.
All right, we teased it at the top of the show, and oh man, KFC and Pizza Hut are coming together. They have made a popcorn chicken pizza. Now, from what I read, it's only available in the UK for right now. But here's what you're going to get with your popcorn chicken pizza. It's a classic Pizza Hut crust topped with mozzarella cheese. You have KFC gravy as your sauce. KFC popcorn chicken pieces and sweet corn are your topping. Thoughts, Mickey?
This is the fast food version of Rosemary's Baby. That's what this is. But not to disappoint people who like to hear me rant and rave on Pizza Hut, but I'm giving Pizza Hut a pass on this one, and I'll tell you why. KFC and Pizza Hut are both owned by Yum Brands, which also owns Pepsi and so many other companies. I kind of want to believe this was forced upon both of them. Hey, we get some corporate synergy and cross brand their stuff here. So I'm gonna give Pizza Hut itself a pass on creating this thing, but they've done worse, I guess. I mean, at least this is a theme of some kind. When I first learned about it, I'm thinking this just sounds horrible because I had neglected reading the part about the pizza sauce being replaced with the KFC gravy. I'm thinking, pizza, the corn, and when you put the gravy on it, though, instead of the sauce, I'm weirdly attracted to the idea. But in my mind, I will have to block out that this is from Pizza Hut and just have to look at it as something on its own. Because if I start thinking about it being from Pizza Hut, I'm just going to get pissed off that, about the whole Pizza Hut thing.
Yeah. Well, the box is mainly covered in KFC logos and stuff from what I saw, so you can kind of block it out a little bit just by the looks of the box. But
the gravy sauce thing, maybe a thin spread of mashed potatoes under the cheese may have been better, and then you could dip the slice in gravy, so you'd have it all. But if it comes to America, I may reluctantly try it, but I kind of doubt we even get it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't know. It's weird enough, though, that they might just say, "Oh, these Americans will eat anything."
Well, I like to think of it that the corporate brass was sitting around and they're like, "We're going to launch this. We're going to do this," and somebody's like, "We better just launch it overseas because we don't want to piss Mickey off any more than he is here in America with this stuff." I'd like to think I had a hand in that change of course.
Now, isn't Taco Bell under that same umbrella?
It is.
Why are we not getting a Taco Bell pizza at Pizza Hut? You could do the taco sauce. You could even choose your kind of sauce, whether you want mild, hot, fire. And then you get the Taco Bell meat. You could add some crispy tortilla pieces or something on top. Come on, man.
Have you ever had a taco pizza like that? I mean, we've got a local chain that does taco pizzas, and it's taco sauce instead of pizza sauce. And it's the mozzarella cheese and the taco meat, like you're talking about, baked on like a topping. And then after it comes out, they throw shredded cheddar, shredded lettuce, and diced tomatoes on top of the pizza. And they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to try one. I don't think there's anybody around here that does it, at least that I've tried.
You can also find frozen pizzas like that. I think Red Baron makes a taco pizza. It don't have the shredded lettuce, diced tomatoes. It's got jalapenos, taco sauce, taco meat, and that sort of thing on it. But they're really good too.
I don't know. I just think Taco Bell and Pizza Hut mashup would work better than Kentucky Fried Chicken. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you
That's
the
just
one
me.
way that KFC and Pizza Hut mashup works better than anything, though. You've seen how you can go some places that have a KFC and Taco Bell together in the same restaurant.
Yep.
My travels, we found a couple places that were KFC and Pizza Hut in the same restaurant, and they both do buffets. And when you would go in there and order the lunch buffet, you got to eat off of both.
Oh, wow.
That, my friend, is a real mashup. When you can get your extra crispy chicken legs and your mashed potatoes and gravy and still get a slice of pepperoni or whatever, man, that was perfect.
I've never heard of something like that. Having getting two lines, man. I'd be all about that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right, moving on. Also spotted this week were Spam breaded pork patties that you can get that are frozen. So you get your Spam, and it's a breaded Spam to make yourself a sandwich with. I don't know. I'd never thought about like breading Spam. It's always been like fried for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I didn't go into detail on this note on your notes, but I had also this week come across a chef who was taking the Flamin' Hot Cheetos and crushing them and dredging slices of Spam and rolling them in those Cheetos crusts and then throwing the whole thing in a deep fryer and making things out of those. So kind of best of both worlds. It's the fried Spam, but I'm not a Flamin' Hot Cheetos fan, but I could see where you could take something, maybe sour cream and onion Pringles, and crush them real fine and do that and fry it up on a piece of Spam and throw it in a sandwich. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. And then wrapping up our food talk here, there is an edible 2/3 pound Stay Puft Marshmallow Man figure that you can buy now over at vat19.com for $13. So you imagine, we get the Peeps every year at Easter, and they do it every holiday now, snowmen and whatever. But the thing is huge, man. It's like the size of a Cabbage Patch Kid. Wow. I mean, and so, that marshmallow, I thought it was fun. I'm not going to buy one because you buy one, you're like, well, I want to display it, but you got to eat it or it's going to be, it'll become a weapon at some point. I don't know. They should do just the mini ones. I would love to see just whoever does the Peeps. I don't know what company it is. Give me that size with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, please.
Well, I'm sure you see the people on Instagram who do the action figures. They'll take them out and do the poses and the scenes with them.
Yep.
This would be perfect if you had the real Ghostbusters figures. You could set the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on fire and take the pictures like in the movie. Yeah,
that would be cool. Great. Yeah. All you need is some shaving cream, and yeah, man, you could just splat them all over the place. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Great idea.
Yeah, buy two.
Okay.
One to leave in the box.
One to leave not burnt, and one in his natural state. Let's go over to some movie talk here. And I saw this week the top 6 most F words in scripted movies. A recent one has cracked the top 6. Did you look at this list?
No, I didn't, because I wanted to try to guess.
Yes, that's what I was going to have you guess.
I am well versed in the F word, and I use it as an adverb, an adjective, a noun. I use it in all ways you can. It's the most versatile word in the English language, right? So I'm going to guess.
So there's 3 in the 90s and 3 in the last decade that have cracked this list as the top ones.
Well, one from the 90s had to be Casino, because Joe Pesci probably sets the record by himself in that movie.
That is number 4 on the list. 422 times.
Wow, number 4. Mm-hmm. I know that movie about the Summer of Sam had a lot. I don't know if it's in this list or not.
That's number 2, 435.
Oh, I'm getting hotter.
You are. I don't think you're going to get the other 90s one. I've never heard of the movie.
What else would be on this? And say 3 in the last decade?
Yes. 1 in 2013 holds the record. 1 in 2015, and then 1 last year. was a Netflix movie.
Let's see, what year did 2013? Would that be Wolf of Wall Street? Is that the year it came out?
That's it. That is the king of this list. 569 times.
Holy cow!
So yeah, so from 1 to 2, you got 569, and then Summer of Sam is 435. 134 more times.
Wow. I was going to guess Django Unchained, but I think that was more the N word than the F word.
Yeah, that didn't make the list. The top 6 at least.
Well, then I don't know. What else is on there?
Okay, so number 1 is Wolf of Wall Street. Number 2, Summer of Sam. Number 3 is one called Nil by Mouth from 1997, 428. Casino, number 4, 422. Uncut Gems, the Adam Sandler movie from Netflix, 408.
Okay, I got to watch it now then. I ain't got Netflix anymore.
And then
effing list.
And then number 6, Straight Outta Compton from 2015, 392.
Well, I got the top 2.
You did.
So I can validate what I just said about being a connoisseur of the F word.
Yeah, top 2 and the 4th. Yeah.
You know how hard it is doing this podcast every week without the F word? That's why you hear me stuttering around my words sometimes. I'm instantly trying to think of a replacement for what I actually want to say.
Oh, gosh. I thought that would be fun to have you try to guess that. What are your favorite horror, or the favorite horror movie you've said in your list? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre has another reboot in the works with the directors of the movie The Dig, which I wasn't familiar with. The movie was rebooted in 2003 with some box office success thanks to Michael Bay, and then that led to a 2006 prequel. And then Lionsgate actually followed that up with 2 other new entries in the franchise, Texas Chainsaw 3D and Leatherface. So this is like another third version of a reboot. I mean, it's crazy to think about how many times you can reboot, but I don't know. You got your thoughts? Have you watched any of the newer ones, or are you just sticking with your original?
I've not watched the new ones. The reason this is my favorite is because originally the movie scared the living crap out of me as a kid, because my dad, we watched it in a freaking motel in some strange town, and
wow.
Well, which I traveled with him all summer, every summer when I was a kid, and that's what he'd do. We'd land these cheap, seedy motels in the dark part of town, and we'd watch horror movies. I'm laying over there crying in the other bed, but anywho, my dad was a good guy. Don't get me wrong, but today, modern times, when you go back and watch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's the look of that film from the 70s that keeps it at the top of my list, because it's the atmosphere that they were able to create with that. So I've skipped the new ones because that one's just, in my mind, I can't imagine it being improved upon.
I understand that. There's a lot of movies like that, not just horror or whatever, that you think of. You just think of the word reboot and you're like, why?
To me, this is a movie, and I know most people don't hold it in this high regard, but just from a horror genre, for me, this would be like somebody rebooting A Christmas Story. It's just not going to look and feel the same to what I already like. So I've just passed on the others. No offense to the filmmakers who've made the new ones. I'm just sticking with the original.
All right. Well, one last note in movies. It's been quiet. We had some announcements about Indiana Jones 5, I don't know, maybe a year ago or so. And surfaced this week that they're still planning on doing number 5, and Harrison Ford's planning on coming back. Not sure how that's going to turn out, but that's apparently still a green lit. They haven't started filming or anything, or I didn't get any other details as far as where they're at in the process. But the next movie that Harrison Ford has coming out is actually on February 21st. It's a Call of the Wild remake. I had not, this just skipped me altogether. I didn't know that was being remade.
You've not seen the previews for it?
No, I have not.
The trailer looks amazing.
Does it?
Yeah, you should check out the trailer when we're done. When it finally comes out to where I can watch it at home, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going out to the theater to see it, but I'm going to watch it. It looks really good.
Now, is it still like a period piece, or is it like modern day?
No, it looks like a period piece.
Okay, cool. I need to check out the trailer this week. Maybe we'll put that in the show notes there. We'll link to that, or in the recurrent events column. Moving on, we got a few more things here, and then we'll get into our Mount Crushmore. In the toy genre, Goonies. They're getting their own Monopoly, man. That's going to be coming late spring. And they got 6 collectible pieces in with that. You got a gold doubloon, you got the skull and crossbones, and even the statue of David. Now, I didn't get any word if the Mouse Mom's favorite part is on it or not. that might be my favorite piece to move around, the statue. But I think Boardwalk and Park Place is One-Eyed Willie's cabin and the pirate ship cavern, just from what I was reading. But love Goonies, love the movie, and man, Monopoly is like the original Funko. Like, they've done everything, man. I mean, it's crazy. It's been up to this time. They're just now doing Goonies as a Monopoly, but I thought that was fun for you Goonies fans out there. And then this one is I'm like, Hasbro. They're doing a new comic book, and they're mashing up My Little Pony with Transformers. Okay. It's like a 4-issue series, so it's won't be an ongoing thing, but they have pretty much mashed up every brand that they have the license to with Transformers. They've done like Star Trek. They've done, I think they've done G.I. Joe several times, and I'm like, okay, come up with something new, man. Why do you got to mash up everything? What is My Little Pony and Transform? How are you going to do that, man? I don't know. That was just kind of a head scratcher. And then my favorite piece of toy news this week, I love Super 7. Of course, they have the Masters of the Universe license, and they do a lot of those reaction figures, and they have done over the years from classic properties. Their latest coming to the reaction size, which is that 3 3/4 size, Beavis and Butthead.
Yes.
So you get you're gonna get the what I would call the couch potato versions of Beavis and Butthead, kind of their normal attire. You've got the fast food versions of them when they're can't remember the name of the restaurant, like Burger World or something.
Something like that.
No word if you get like a little fryer basket and a rat accessory with that. But you're also going to get a Great Cornholio too. So I might actually have to go out and get me a Great Cornholio figure.
They need two more. They need 2 more figures though. They need the hippie teacher at school.
Yes.
They need a Mr. Anderson figure.
Yes. Yeah. Principal McVicker too.
Oh yeah.
Do the whole I love Beavis and Butthead. For the longest time, I had a Great Cornholio keychain that hung in my truck, and it got to the point. I think I got it at Spencer's when I was back in high school, and it got to the point where his like lower jaw fell out. So it just looked weird, but he had his arms. It was like a bendable arms that you could move, so he could have his arms up in the air and do his Great Cornholio. But anyway, I thought that was great. Beavis and Butthead figures. And then just finally here, touching on video games, we do Roku, Mick, and new channel that they got this week. You can play Tetris on your Roku.
Ooh.
The app is called Tetris Hexa, Hexa. And I believe you can just play it right on your TV with your Roku remote. So
that is excellent. I will test that out right after. Well, not right after, but sometime this weekend. Yes. I'll be trying to play the Tetris. I'll test it out, see how it works.
I've seen just scrolling through the store from time to time that they have little games and stuff on there, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem the right format to me, I guess, with your Roku remote. But it would be fun. We'll see how it works. You can report back to us. So that'll wrap up Recurrent Events this week. Make sure you check the calendar. We got 3 Blu-ray releases coming out actually today as you're listening to this, including the short-lived Swamp Thing series from 2019. And then coming this Friday is a new Huey Lewis and the News album. And, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog hitting theaters. That's part of the Recurrent Events calendar for this coming week. And remember, you got more stories that can be found on the Recurrent Events column every Sunday on the website, including a teaser of the upcoming Fugitive series from Quibi, starring Kiefer Sutherland. So head on over there and you can check that out. And I also put in there the trailer to the Call of the Wild remake. So you can check those out right now. And then coming up, of course, is our Mount Crushmore we're celebrating Valentine's Day. I think about all those girls back in the day that, oh man, I just wanted to send them one Valentine. But that's going to be coming up, and of course your picks too, as we read back your feedback. So don't miss it. Hello, listeners. It is Jason here again with a quick reminder to check us out on YouTube. The Retro Network YouTube channel features Mickey's weekly Wax Pack Flashback, which showcases a pack of cards. He opens them up, goes through each card, and picks an MVP, which is always fun to watch. And in case YouTube is your preferred app, you can listen to the podcast from YouTube. All the episodes of the Retro Network podcast, Wizards, and Sequel Quest, and all of our other fun shows can be found right there on YouTube. We've also got some fun tribute videos. I put together a fun montage for the McDonald's Happy Meal. You can also find some fun reviews in which Mickey and I both sampled New Coke last year, and just some other fun videos for you to check out. So be sure to go over to YouTube. Just type in the Retro Network in the search bar. You should be able to find us pretty quickly. And we would appreciate if you would subscribe and get those notifications so you know when new videos hit the feed. So do that this week for us over there on the Retro Network YouTube channel. And now, into our Time Machine segment. All right, welcome back to the podcast and the TRN Time Machine, sponsored by Retro Days. New episode, Mick. I have not had a chance to watch it, unfortunately, but it's called a GoBots Valentine. So they're we mentioned last week. I thought that GoBots was coming up, and now they're kind of mashing it up with Valentine's Day. So this ought to be fun, man. I'm looking forward to watching this, and we've got that section on the website now where you can watch videos right there on the homepage. So we'll make sure we get that added this week, so you can check out Adam and RD in his all his glory and GoBots and Valentine's Day. This ought to be fun.
Yes, I like. We've said it a million times. Go watch RD's Detention if you hadn't yet. You'll love it as much as we do. I'm excited for the GoBots crossover though. That's one that's really going to get me right in the feels, I'm sure.
Well, it's connecting with a lot of people now. They're up over 1,000 subscribers, so good on them, and that's well deserved. There's a lot of great episodes, and they're even just a couple weeks ago they gave some of the stuff away that every episode they feature some of those the merchandise and stuff from back in the day, and kind of just put that on display, and had a giveaway to give some of that away to one lucky person. I think that has already passed, but I'm sure they'll be doing something like that in the future as well. So
yeah, I joked earlier about Wax Pack Flashback or whatever. But in all seriousness, if you have anything to do with the streaming service like Quibi or whoever, you should go after this property, because RD's Retro Detention is already quality enough to be on these services, let alone if you put some of your money behind them. So if there's just somebody happen to be listening who can make that happen, please go check it out. These guys deserve it, and you would have a hit on your hands.
All right. Well, speaking of Valentine's Day, we are here, and we have our Mount Crushmore picks ready to go. I put over there on Twitter. I think we're just going to tell people to go over to Twitter from now on. I'm on there probably most out of all the social media. So if you're on Twitter, this is where you're going to be able to connect with us and provide feedback. We got a lot of it this week. I narrowed my list down to about 7 or 8. So actually more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably about 10. I'm still trying to figure out what the top 4 is going to be, but or 5 as we as we're going to just add an extra face on the side of the Mount Crushmore here. But I don't know. Did you have any rhyme or reason to these picks as far as more TV or movies or where they're coming from?
Most of these are TV.
Yeah, mine are too.
My picks are TV.
Mine are too. So I even even threw a couple fun ones in there from cartoons and stuff like that as well. A while back, I did a feature over there on Rediscover the 80s that were 5 video game girls I had a crush on.
Well, that's not weird.
Yeah, it's not weird at all. No. What was the girl from Dragon's Lair? Princess Daphne, I think. Whoa. Okay. She was like the Jessica Rabbit of video games. If you get my drift.
Well, this is kind of taking a turn I didn't expect.
Yep. Yeah, right. You didn't expect it. All right. All right. Well, how do you want to do this? You want to go first? You want to put one up there? And
Sure, I can go first.
Okay.
I don't care. I'll say, and mine are in order actually.
Okay.
I'll start at the bottom. It would be the one I'd want to give one ding dong to, and the top would be the one I want to give 5 ding dongs to for Valentine's Day. Anyway, number 5, the bottom of the list. In the early 90s, I was totally infatuated with SI swimsuit model Kathy Ireland.
Yes.
And this is the one that didn't come from television. The epitome to me was getting to see her in Necessary Roughness, the movie with
Oh yes.
Sinbad and some other people in it there. Oh my goodness. Her eyes were incredible. I mean, well, the whole package was incredible, but it's like with her in particular, as much as you wanted to look at everything else, I was just drawn to her eyes. Oh, she was beautiful. She's still beautiful. Was putting this list together, and I already had the list for something else I was working on, but never did. So I had the list, and I was looking at it, and I was Googling a little bit of info on some of these ladies, and I seen some pictures of her from recently, and she's still a gorgeous lady. So
Absolutely.
Good on her. Good on her.
Well, that's a great choice, man. Those SI swimsuit issues were eye-opening back in the early 90s. And Kathy Ireland, I think she had several covers, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah. My first choice, and I'm just going to go, I'm not going 1 to 5 here, or I don't know. I didn't really rank these, but one of the ones near the top and was early on for me was Elizabeth Shue.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Karate Kid. That's mainly where I first noticed her. And gosh, didn't I want to take her to the golf and stuff?
Yeah.
She was great. She actually did some commercials even before she got into Hollywood. There's a Burger King commercial floating out there with her in it. But then when she took Jennifer's role, in Back to the Future 2 and 3, that helped me. And I've not really connected a lot with Adventures in Babysitting. It's one of my wife's favorite movies, actually. But
I love that movie too.
She obviously that's enough of a reason for me to watch it. And then Cocktail came along, and whoa, okay.
Yep.
She's just, I don't know. I've always liked her, just her personality too, that she, which might not be her own, so much on the screen. We were huge into CSI when that first came on television. And I think it was maybe the last couple seasons. We were out of it, right? There was, once Grissom left, I think we just pretty much were done with the show. And then when I heard she was coming back on, of course, I was watching episodes again. So not a stalker or anything. It's just, I would love to have her as a Valentine. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
What's another pick for you?
Oh, you know that I'm big on this one because we've mentioned her many times here on the show, and we've dedicated articles to her and stuff. And that was Rhonda Shear from Up All Night.
Oh yes, she was on my list. Yes.
Yes, buddy. She's on a lot of people's list for a lot of different things. She may or may not have been on a Christmas letter I sent to Santa Claus one time that I wanted him to bring to me for Christmas. I may or may not have been specific into what she should be wearing when he did drop her off. But
that's great.
The movies that they showed on Up All Night, with today's eyes, we look back and we can enjoy those movies for nostalgic value and the campiness of them. When I was watching Up All Night, those movies sucked. But I watched every week because of the segments in between the shows featuring Rhonda Shear. Rhonda Shear was, how can I say this without taking this show down into the gutter? At that point in time, I was a young man at the age where you're highly intrigued with females, you know.
Yes.
Well, not like you
I
ever
know.
stop, but once you get to that point, right?
Right.
Man, she hit all the check marks though. She
Yep.
was sexy and sultry and fun and bubbly and
Yeah. That was
yeah.
part of it too, just her like bubbly personality. You know, she was having fun when she was doing those segments.
You know, she was nice in places that a lot of women don't even have places. She was fantastic. So, yeah, I was highly infatuated with Miss Shear for a long time. I still am. And how fitting that she designed this line of underwear and stuff. And that's what she does now. It's like if anybody had the goods to pull that off, she did and does.
buddy.
So, yep, Rhonda Shear. Giving
Yeah,
her
buddy.
2 ding dongs for Valentine's Day.
All right. The next one for me. This came out. I was, right at the edge of middle school, early high school years. So, I was definitely into girls at that point. And I'm talking about the girl who put the POW in Kapowski, Kelly Kapowski, Tiffany Amber Thiessen from Saved by the Bell.
Pick.
She was always the one that came out in the swimsuit too.
Mhm.
And she just was a beautiful girl. And she loved it. I don't know. It seemed like she loved to portray that role of the all eyes on her, when those moments would come on the TV show. And I was always a fan of Kelly.
Now, of course, I was a fan of Kelly, but it really ramped up when she got on the 90210, because the whole bad girl character she played there, and yeah.
I didn't watch. I watched her some on 90210, but this is mainly a Saved by the Bell era Kelly.
Oh, well, yeah, to me, it's 2 distinct eras, and both are great.
Yeah.
And I never was big into 90210, but when I found out she was on there, I gave it a shot, and then I'm like, whoa, I'm coming back next week. Let me tell you. I couldn't even tell you. I can't even tell you what happened during that season or the storylines or anything.
Right.
But I watched every week,
I understand.
Well, keeping up with that Saved by the Bell thing, most people pick Kelly Kapowski, but I was more of a Jessie Spano guy. And she's the third one on my list because the long legs and I like tall women, and her dance moves. I was turned off a little bit by the whole, what do you call, what's the opposite of feminism? Anyway, where she was all women's lib. Okay, yeah, that would be the term.
Yeah.
Women's lib. I was a little turned off by that. They pushed it too hard on the show. Women's lib is great and fine and all, but the way they portrayed it on the show was too far over the top. It was kind of a turn off. But Jessie Spano, as much as hot as Kelly Kapowski was, I thought Jessie was just one notch higher.
Okay. I thought maybe you might go Tori there, but
No,
I don't know.
no.
I don't know. I thought Tori was cute too.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, not wanting to take this show into the gutter or anything, but being a big Jessie Spano fan, and for a lot of guys who were a fan of Kelly or Saved by the Bell in general, when Showgirls came out, that was a big moment in a lot of people's lives until they actually watched the thing, and then you're like, what? But
I've still never seen it. Never seen Showgirls.
It seemed like such a weird transition. It had to be for the money on her part or the notoriety or whatever, but to go from the wholesome show of Saved by the Bell to do that, you're like, what? You didn't dwell on it too long because you knew you was going to go watch it, or at least I was. I don't know about other people, but
a lot of people,
weird transition for her.
Yeah, a lot of people, not just girls, but I'm talking about actors who get typecast in a certain role or personality or something, just want to do something off the wall, totally opposite to kind of either, show off their skills as an actor or just to get out of that stereotype, So I'm sure that had something to do with it as well. I don't want to work in teenage kid shows all my life, but
And Elizabeth Berkley, the actress, as hot as I thought she was then, as she got older, it just got better. Some of the
Yeah.
stuff from the 2000s that she was in.
Have
Her
you seen?
role in Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino, she is, good Lord, what a knockout in that movie.
Have you seen her in the new show yet that they're filming? Have you seen any of the pictures and everything?
I seen a still shot of her and Slater at the Max, but I didn't dwell on it. So
there's a little clip. I think it might be on both of their Instagrams where they're on the set and just kind of going around talking about they're excited, about the new show and stuff. So might want to check that out.
Okay, that's a good one.
That's right. My third choice. Wow, gosh, where do I go from here? Let's go with Wonder Woman herself, Linda Carter.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we were talking about even last week me getting into Superman and the Batman 66 series in those earlier years, and of course Wonder Woman. They were showing reruns of Wonder Woman all the time for a good reason, and
two good reasons.
Yeah, two ding dongs for her. Gosh, she just every bit of sexy. And then when she did the what was it, Battle of the Network Stars?
Mm-hmm.
Oh Lord, they those swimsuits back then were not supportive. So you can go back and check out a couple of pictures of her from that era. But gosh, just then the eyes too. I mean, obviously we're looking at the figures, but the eyes, definitely beautiful eyes she has. So yeah, I have to put her on the Mount Crushmore.
Well, my next one up, growing up in the late 80s and getting hooked on wrestling, there were just a couple of women in wrestling, but the first lady of wrestling was always Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, yes.
And that was the first, even at a young age, you hear terms like grace and beauty and stuff. That was the first woman I remember me recognizing that exemplified like grace and real beauty. Different from everybody else on this list who I may or may not have lusted over, Miss Elizabeth I just adored and admired, because at the time, the way she was portrayed on TV, and I don't know what she was like in real life. It may have just been an extension of her real life, or it may have been an act, but she portrayed grace and beauty and elegance, and she was just drop dead beautiful every time you seen her on television.
Yeah.
It was another facet of a reason to watch wrestling, was to see Miss Elizabeth. In addition to all the action and stuff, she was just absolutely God-gifted beauty from birth, without probably without any needed help. I mean, she wore makeup and stuff, but Lord knows the way her features were and her cheekbones and stuff, she may not have even needed that, but she was just beautiful, a beautiful lady.
Yeah, and part of it too was just how the Macho Man led her down to the ring, opened the ropes for her, and everything. And anytime there was action outside the ring, you're like afraid that she's going to be near it. And it was, part of that too was almost like being protective of her. And what are you doing down here? You don't need to. You just need to be like up in the press box or something and watching from up there in your crown or something, instead of at ringside and in harm's way. So,
and after all those years of that too, of him opening the ropes and this and that, or she would open the ropes for him in the early days, and he would verbally abuse her in interviews, and like she was his possession, which turns out was pretty real life extension of that relationship. But it was when the Macho Man became a good guy and then started treating her with the respect, and her beauty and stuff seemed to go up a whole nother level with that, because all of a sudden she's on a pedestal. He's opening the ropes for her, and you're finally getting to see her get the respect from him and truly be put in her place as the beauty she was, and be hoisted up on his shoulders, and she was the center of attention. Oh man, Miss Elizabeth had it all, and it's such a shame that the way her career and life went downhill and ended for her.
Yeah.
She was just, and I'm not just saying this because this is the show we're doing, but Miss Elizabeth is probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. She really is.
Yeah. Yep. She was on my list, actually. I didn't know if it was going to make it or not, but since you chose her, I'll go on to somebody else here. Let's see, we've got 2 more to go, right? You've got one more?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I go here? I'm guessing she might be on your list, so I'll choose this one, and maybe you'll have to choose another one. Daisy
I'm not
Duke.
choosing another one, buddy. I'm sticking with my list.
Okay. Daisy Duke, Catherine Bach.
Yeah, she's the big 5 ding dong winner on my side. I'll tell you that.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, she can have all the ding dong she wants from me. It don't matter.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll give her to you. I'll let her be on your Mount Crushmore. Since
Somebody's telling me they're
going
to give me Daisy Duke is the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my life.
There you go. I'm that kind of guy. So let's see, the 4th pick for me. Let's go with okay, this is gonna be a little off the wall, but I'm going with Diane Parkinson from Price is Right.
One of the many reasons to stay out of school right there, buddy.
Yes. So yeah, speaking of the swimsuit, she was always the one at the end when they brought out the boat or what vacation or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
in her swimsuit, and wow, the curves. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, and like you said, yeah, gosh, as much as I loved the games and everything from Price is Right, the Barker's Beauties were also a big deal.
Yes, they were.
That was probably more the reason my dad watched and still watches it is for the beauties than the actual games and stuff. But yeah, man, wow. And that's another one of those just, gosh, if you read the backstory, you're like, oh, yuck. Some bad stuff going on there. But for the public that was viewing and watching Price is Right every morning, yeah, those 3 beauties, Janice and Holly and Diane, during that 80s era and early 90s were it, man.
You're not the only one who was a big fan of her. Her issue of Playboy was one of the best-selling issues of that era, too. I mean, so there was a lot of she had a lot of interest behind her, and well deserved. She was besides the swimsuit part, which the swimsuit part was still great, but when she was out there on the show in the normal like formal wear, she had that Miss Elizabeth look to her too. I mean, she was just a beautiful lady, very beautiful lady.
That's right. Okay, your last pick.
Well, Daisy Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard. I remember being young, 5 years old, going around telling people Daisy Duke was my girlfriend. I still tell people that. Matter of fact, it's kind of ironic. I told you that story off the air. I think it was last week when we recorded about this guy I work with. I won't repeat it, but that story kept coming up my mind this week thinking about this and stuff he said about, Anyway, she is still, her character is still the epitome of what a lot of people think about when they think of good-looking Southern women. The short shorts, the long legs, the tan, the tied-up shirt, the long hair, the beautiful smile, the sweetness, the Southern charm, the language, the accent. I mean, there's been songs written about her. Daisy Dukes is a term that we have because of her and fashion trends. She, if I were going to sit down and design the perfect Southern woman, I don't know that I would hit on anything besides her. She's what I would design. She was perfect for that role. She was a beautiful lady on her own, and she's aged gracefully as well as some of these others we've talked about. From as early as I can remember, I've been infatuated with Daisy Duke, and I still am. So she's number 1 on my list.
Well deserved. Yeah, there's that one iconic poster shot too that I'm sure everybody had in their bedroom. And we were at a few years ago. I made it to Cooter's place in Nashville. He's got a couple of them, I think, but there's a whole section of that store that's just Daisy Duke's store. So for all the ladies wear and stuff, but they had a Lego version of that poster, that iconic poster made out of Lego and mosaic. And I was like, gosh, it's still, I mean, looking at Legos, you're like, wow. So yeah, that's definitely well deserved, man. Well deserved as a top pick. 5 ding dongs all the way.
There's no limit.
Okay. Gosh, where am I going to go with this last one? I'm going to go movies since I've done a lot of TV. This lady has been I've been infatuated with her for several sequels, not just the first movie. I'm going to go with Leslie Easterbrook from Police Academy.
I'm gonna have to Google her. That ain't ringing a bell.
She's what's her name in the movies? Crap.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember her.
She just from the get-go, she was just the drop dead gorgeous blonde in this academy, and just her interaction with everybody else. I can't remember which one it is. It's like number maybe 4 or 5 where she's doing the training and she's in the pool and with the white t-shirt and all right, who wants to try this out? And like everybody jumps in the pool, and Police Academy 6 is probably my favorite. And there's several scenes in there with her that I'm just one is in the gym and she's working out and all the guys are like, trying not to look at her, but looking at her, and one guy's spotting a dude that's just doing a bench press, and he's watching her and forgets about the guy, and he's like choking himself with the thing. And then she finally looks over and sees the guy staring at her. She's like, ugh. So she goes on to something else, and he turns around. He's like, oh, sorry. Pulls the barbell off the guy's throat, But I don't know. She's always been one that I don't have a particular. She has to be blonde or brunette or redhead or whatever. It's just I don't know the way their personality and how they react on the TV and movies and everything that they do that is attractive to me as well. So she was definitely one that I would have loved to send a Valentine to back in the day. So. That's do you have any other little honorable mentions here or anything?
I mean, I love all women, Jason. I mean, it don't have to be a special occasion to talk about them and treat them nice, and yeah. I'm gonna put like Willie Nelson said, to all the girls I've loved before. I'm gonna put all the girls I've loved before as my honorable mentions for Valentine's Day. Okay. Just don't tell my wife that.
Callahan was her name on the Police Academy movies. I had a couple I wrote down, and some other people mentioned here that I won't steal their thunder as we get to our listener Mount Crushmore here shortly. But did you watch a lot of Knight Rider as a kid?
Yeah, I did.
Were you Bonnie or April?
I don't remember the difference.
Okay. Then I guess you're the wrong person to ask then. But
yeah, I mean, I watched it as a kid, Jason. That's been 35 years ago. I don't remember. I was more about waiting on Dukes of Hazzard so I could see my girlfriend Daisy, not worrying about Easy Mechanic.
Well, I was always an April fan. She came along, I think, in season 3, maybe. She was there for a season. I can't remember what the reason why that the actress that played Bonnie left and then came back, but I always like April in Knight Rider. And then I wrote down a couple from the cartoon series. Oh
my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. The way you see Tila in Masters of the Universe, I mean, come on, man. What, you're not going to notice that? The way she's drawn? Yeah.
It was still a cartoon. I don't know.
Okay. All right, well, I'll just leave it there then. I'll just leave it there. All right, let's get on to some of our feedback, and we'll choose a Mount Crushmore for them. We've got leading off the Gentleman Ball at OMG. It's G Ball. He nominated Chrissy Snow.
Good choice.
That's a good choice. I would put Janet in there too. Chad, our buddy over at Horror Movie Barbecue, Yvonne Craig. He loves Yvonne Craig. He was Batgirl back in the '66 show, if you remember her.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Jeff at Pilot_Jeff, who also is on staff with us. Every guy my age, and then he puts a GIF image of Kelly Kapowski. And then he had a follow-up off that. If it's not this Kelly, then it's this Kelly. And he posted one of Kelly Bundy. I thought that was a very good choice. Mm-hmm. Just watching that whole show, man, you could have a different crush every episode, it seemed like. What Al was getting into, you know. J.L. Lamastus at Shade of Jeremy. And he gave us a shot of Aaron Gray from Buck Rogers.
Interesting.
I was not big into Buck Rogers, so but I definitely can see that choice. TC Restani at After Hours TC, and he gave us a gif of Leah Thompson from Back to the Future. I can see that one. Brian Cave at old_school_evil. Shawnee Smith from Who's Harry Crumb. Have you seen Who's Harry Crumb?
Yeah, I loved it, but I couldn't remember that character in particular, and I Googled it the other day, and it's like, yep.
Yeah, I did. That was another one, too. It was kind of not one I was expecting. I have seen the movie. I remember renting the movie several times back in the early 90s, and yeah, that's a good choice. Karen Flieger, add Karen Flieger 8, Michael J. Fox.
He was number 6 on my list. He just missed the cut.
Very close there, yep. You can start another spot on the other side of the mountain for all your man crushes.
The Bromance Hall of Fame over here.
Mount Bromore.
Oh,
yeah. Adam at Hoju Koolander, who's on staff with us too. When I was 4 years old, my first crush was Punky Brewster. This culminated with me calling the operator from our home phone and asking to be connected to Punky Brewster's house. My mom loves that story. Another early crush was Olivia Newton-John as Kira in Xanadu. I had a, quote, girlfriend in preschool with whom I would act out the romantic song and dance numbers from the film on the playground, as that was my frame of reference for being in love.
Adam is like the coolest guy I've ever known. He's got stories for everything.
He does, man. And God, I don't remember hardly anything when I was that young. So
I tell you what, I don't remember Punky Brewster having me infatuated when she was a kid, but buddy, when she grew up, she did. That was more of a modern day crush.
Yes.
With yeah.
Yep. Coming back around. Yeah.
I know. That's the whole reason I'm going to check it out too.
Yeah, she's a great follow on Instagram there. Not that doesn't sound stocky at all. Chris Mork at CMork26, and he gave us a Winnie from the Wonder Years gif.
Great pick.
Danica McKellar. Yes, that's a great pick too. I did not watch a lot of the Wonder Years, so I can't attest to that, but I know a lot of people who did, and Winnie was it. The Grinch with the Y_84. He was responding to my Catherine Bach gif and said, CB was right at the top of the list. Super hottie. Mm-hmm. Michael Robert at Earth to Mike. And he gave us Phoebe Cates from Fast Times. Yeah.
No, that scene and that scene influenced so many young men back in the day.
Right.
In the early days of VCR, I would be willing to bet that scene may have topped the list in the 80s of most rewound and replayed in movies.
Right, yep. Yeah. Gosh. Champion Rhine. There was Cece Penniston and Linda Ronstadt, how I learned about Mexico as a kid. Oh, and Kelly Kapowski.
Linda Ronstadt was another one of those just traditional just beauty from birth type women. She was a knockout.
I remember watching some CeCe Peniston videos too. Steve, the pissed off Bo Sox fan in Blue Jay Land, at Steve Curious too, gave us a Jessica Fletcher gif with some flames and a wink emoji. I was a little scared about that choice, but okay.
Well, let me bail him out here. I believe he was responding to an earlier comment with that gif that he was excited to hear or see more. So
Okay.
Popcorned it, right? Yeah. But I mean, Jessica Fletcher, I mean, Angela Lansbury, I mean, she probably had it going on back in the day. We don't know.
True. And then finally, Kevin, who is also on staff here with us at Masked Library. I mean, this isn't a short list, but making it a full post could get me in trouble at home. So if anyone sees a post on the site from Mr. X, I know nothing about it. But I did egg him on a little bit and said, just give me a couple. He said, Miss Elizabeth, Sunny, which is wrestling, Missy Hyatt,
more wrestling.
This one connected with me, Lace from American Gladiators. Oh, yes. I was a huge Lace fan, more than any of the other ones on there. Dad was a Zap fan.
Who was the very first season? It was only half a season. They had a third one. I think her name was Sunny. She was a tall, slender blonde, and that was the only time she was on there. When she put them all to shame.
Yeah. Kelly Kapowski, of course. Topanga.
It's a very good pick for a lot of our 90s growing up listeners there. She was a big one for kids of the 90s.
And then you left us with, if you really want to feel old, Jenna Jameson broke out in 1995.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just leave that there. Okay, so that was Kevin's list.
I mean, if he wants to talk old school, we'll talk about Linda Lovelace and stuff. I mean, it goes way back before she broke onto the scene.
Mm-hmm. What do you think as far as a choice for the listener picks?
I'm going to go, of course, we already talked about Kelly Kapowski. Kelly Bundy's a good one. I'm going to go with Phoebe Cates from Michael. Because I had kind of forgot about that. That was a pretty iconic moment in a lot of young men's lives back then.
Right. And since you passed on Kelly Bundy, I'll put her up there for Jeff. It's a very good choice. What's another one?
We need two more.
Or three more.
Well, just because I love Adam so much, we'll put Punky Brewster on that wall too.
Okay. Oh gosh. We should probably, I don't know. I was thinking about maybe doing putting Michael J. Fox and Leah Thompson up there.
Well, Michael J. Fox is the only male entry we have on this list in the modern world we live in. I think we should include him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's another one of what we've got left here? I'm kind of leaning towards Batgirl here.
That works for me.
Okay, well there you go. There's your listener Mount Crushmore. Thanks everybody for giving us the feedback, and hope you enjoyed our talk. And let us know if we knocked it out of the park, or we missed somebody back then in that era that you're like, man, she needs to be on there, or he needs to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
Let us know, man. At RD80s, at Yesterdayville, on Twitter, at TRN Social for the website's handle, and give us some feedback this week on your Mount Crushmore. You can post if you missed giving us the feedback. Go ahead and give us your top 4 or top 5, and send that to us, and we'll get your feedback on following up next week. So we are going to come back and wrap up the show, give you some other additional feedback from everybody out there, and some shout outs. I got a couple of those to send your way, and tell you about the podcasts and all the stuff that's coming up on the Retro Network. So stay tuned. All right, we are back to wrap things up on episode 33 of the Retro Network podcast. And before we get into our feedback, we want to go ahead and let you interact with us this coming week on the topic for our next show. And Mickey and I have been talking about this kind of off the air, and Mickey had the idea of, Hey, let's just throw out some topics and let the listeners choose what they want us to talk about the following week. So
we were going to start it last week, but then we realized it was Valentine's Day and we had something specific we wanted to do. But it's your chance to tell us what you want to hear about in the time machine.
Yep.
So take advantage of it, folks.
That's right. Cast your vote this week. It'll be up on Twitter. That's the main place I'm going to put it. Just going to put it in one place. Go to the @TRN social page, and pinned at the top, I'll have the poll, and you can choose which topic you want for our next episode. And we'll go ahead and tell you right now, here's the 4 that you can choose from in the poll. Our favorite stores at the mall. Oh, gosh.
Relive the 80s and early 90s and mid-90s, I guess, too. Going to the mall on the weekends.
R.I.P. KB Toys. Wow. Discontinued fast food items. This sounds, oh gosh,
stuff like McDonald's pizza, and I could go on forever with food.
We could just do one on McDonald's. As much stuff as they've discontinued over the years, But yeah, that's a good one. Favorite movie or TV vehicles? Oh gosh, I mean, you could go so many different ways with this. There's a lot in the movies. We could probably just do a movies list.
Be honest with you, I could probably do my whole list with nothing but big rigs from movies. I could go for days on this topic.
Yeah, man. Oh man, it could be one we could follow up on too. Down the road and do 5 more or whatever. So yes, and don't forget, cars, trucks, helicopters too. Some good ones back then. Boats, yeah, sure. And then finally, favorite game shows. Oh, yes. I loved me some game shows back in the day. I remember during the summer times when USA Network would just run blocks of game shows, and I'd be glued to the TV. Man, and staying home, we talked about staying home for The Price is Right. Yeah, there was a whole block in the morning there, Pressure Luck, and oh, gosh.
And then all the alternate networks on cable used to have their shows, your Supermarket Sweep and your, what was that one that came on after it?
The
and
mall,
then you got the Nickelodeon shows. You got your Double Dares and your Legends of the Hidden Temple. I mean, we could go on for that.
Keepers. Yeah, there was one at the mall. Shop till you drop. That's what it was.
That was it. And hey, I got a suggestion for people who vote on this poll. When you vote on it, leave a comment with the poll too of what your top pick for what you voted on will be. So if you pick game shows, leave us a comment with what your favorite game show is, and we'll talk about those too, some like we do in the feedback sections.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll try to end it maybe within the next 2 or 3 days, and then we'll get some time. We'll reach out to everybody again, and this is the choice, and give us some feedback on that choice for this coming week. So yeah, this is gonna be fun. I'm anxious to see what everybody wants us to hear us talk about.
And just
stores at the mall. Go ahead.
Just to let folks know, we plan on trying to give you the option to pick our topic on a fairly regular basis. So if your choice does not get picked this time, watch for it to be back up on another poll in the near future. Vote again.
That's right. And we've got a master list. So if there's a topic, you say, I've got to hear you guys talk about this. Let us know what that is, and we'll get it on the master list. And maybe we can post that over on Patreon or something too, just to give them an inside look at all of our topics that we want to cover. But please vote this week on what you want to hear next week. Let's get to some feedback. Just a quick shout out to, we talked about him before, Mr. Spider-Man, 20 years before 2000 blog.
Mm-hmm.
He comments a lot on my personal blog, and then even over on the Retro Network as well. And he's been posting scans of his long lost sticker book, and I've just been loving it over on his blog. This is something I did several years ago. I still have my childhood sticker book as a kid, and you know how I feel about stickers. We've gone down that road back during RetroCon, but I just love looking at these old books. And Karen even did this too for us a while back, and she actually did a video over on Instagram that flipped through her old sticker book. But I just love, I don't know what it is, but I just love these the thoughts of a sticker album, what we called back in the day, like collecting stickers, and this book that you stuck them in so you could go back and review them,
And Spider-Man, His 20 years before 2000 blog has a lot of fun stuff on it. If you like what we talk about on here and like what we do at the Retro Network, he does a lot of the same stuff. And you may remember, you may not remember, it's been a few years, but when I used to do the Retro Roundtables over at Retro Ramblings, he used to participate in those with us too. So he's good people. Been around a while.
Yeah, man. 20 years, the letter B 2000.blogspot.com is his website. So go check it out this week. And one more shout out. I'm just going to shout out Kevin over at maskedlibrary.com. I think he's finally landed on the name. Yeah, at least that's what he's told me. But he does a lot over there just on his personal site, and comic reviews, lots of wrestling stuff, VHS stuff that he finds. He's a big thrift store shopper. And of course, he contributes a ton over here at the Retro Network. He's on the Situation Jukebox podcasts, and did not realize he was up on Patreon. So I was like, yeah, we'll throw some money your way, man. We want to keep you going and contribute just a little bit as a thank you back to helping us out over here on the Retro Network. So maskedlibrary.com is Kevin. And you can also find him on Patreon. Help support him, man, because he does a lot of stuff just for the retro community. So just check him out this week. And just want to say, man, we appreciate you, Kevin, for all you contribute to the Retro Network, and looking forward to what you do over there on your website as well, man. Some feedback we've got this week. Jeff Sheldon did a article on Nickelodeon Super Toy Run about a week or so ago, and LB Nitrate had this to say regarding what he was going to go for on the Super Toy Run. If you remember, do you remember that when they used to promote that?
Yeah, I had totally forgotten it until I seen this post about it, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I remember that."
It was like basically a shopping spree. I think, was it a Toys R Us? I think it was Toys R Us.
I'm not sure where it was.
Anyway, LB Nitrate says video games, action figures, maybe a few board games, and some stuffed toys, depending on what was available. That's what I'd go for. I've been reading about this, though. Sounds like they'd help you set things up to make the most of your time. So I guess you weren't necessarily doing the supermarket sweep thing where you're pulling stuff off the shelves and they would get it down and get it ready for you to throw in your cart, or buggy, as we say in the South.
Yes, it's a buggy.
LB Nitrate also had a comment for the Reliving Wrestling History on the WWE Network article that Kevin put together. He said, if AEW hadn't come along to fill the recent opened gaps in my weekly wrestling schedule, my plan was just to go back to some point and start watching old episodes week after week. And that's something I'm really considering, man.
Okay.
Because I need to go ahead and pull the trigger on the WWE Network, and I want to start at some point, but I'm not sure where.
Okay. I will, based on what I know is on there, I'll give you a couple good starting points. One, you can start in 1986 watching World Championship Wrestling, the Saturday night show. And you have the big shows from that year on the network too, the Great American Bash shows, the Starcades. So the stuff on the weekly television you're watching them build up to, you can actually see the payoff for. So you're not wasting your time.
Cool.
Another good era to start with would be 1989, same show, World Championship Wrestling, the Saturday night show. All the pay-per-views from 1989 are on there. The WWF side of things is kind of hard to do because they don't have the rights to show WWF superstars from the 80s because of the networks they were on and some other litigation they went through with the names of the shows and stuff. So they can't put that on there. You can start with, they have some shows from like 91, 92 Primetime Wrestling where you could follow along and then watch the pay-per-views. And then if you're more of the later era, I would suggest starting with Monday, the debut of Monday Nitro in 95. And at the same time, because they have all of those, and they also have all the Monday Night Raws from those eras, so you can watch both shows that aired on the same Monday night, follow along, and then watch both pay-per-views when you get to them from both sides of the aisle. And if you're feeling really adventurous, they have the ECW TV archives that you could find the episode from the same week as the Monday night shows and watch all three of the big players' weekly shows from the same weeks.
Cool. I've been thinking too, do they have like all the WrestleManias on there?
They do. They have every pay-per-view ever. And you
See,
may
and
also be excited to learn. I know you talk a lot about World Class Wrestling. They have it in its entirety, all the TV episodes on there as well.
Ooh, gosh, I got to pull the trigger here soon. I was just thinking because as a kid, I didn't get a lot of the pay-per-views, and when I was watching them, like the WrestleManias, I had a rich kid friend who was able to purchase the pay-per-views, and I'd go over to his house and watch mainly the WrestleManias. But there's so many that I've missed over the years that I haven't watched in their entirety that I'd love to just start at WrestleMania 1 and just do all the WrestleManias.
Mm-hmm.
So
they're all on every pay-per-view ever is on there.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks for the tip, man. I knew you were the person to talk about when trying to start somewhere and and not jump in the middle of something. So I had thought about where the Monday Nitro started as well. All right, and then the rest of our feedback here is on your Wax Pack flashback from the classic Monster Trucks cards. Gerospace said, "Daddy's Girl gets the win here. That truck is super cool looking." Mm-hmm. And then Mountain Way Adventures, your pal Tiny. "I loved Leviathan. It was the Jeep that was all jacked up. Gravedigger may have been the best looking paint scheme of the day and maybe all time, but the best gimmick was Toasaurus Rex." I love that one too. I remember there being some dinosaurs more in the Monster Jam era when I was watching on a regular basis, and the boys loved that one. I'm trying to remember what that one was called. There was also one that was just a gimmick truck, Backwards Bob. You remember that one? It was just a regular truck. This is just from maybe, I don't know, in the last decade. Just a regular truck, but the setup was backwards.
Well, that's cool.
So this is a gimmick, but it was still cool for the time, just to have a truck going backwards. It looked like in reverse. Anyway, thanks for those comments, everyone. We appreciate that. Coming up before we get into what's coming up on the website and podcast and everything next week, wanted to welcome in Brian Cave. We mentioned him already back in our feedback there for the Mount Crushmore. But Brian, he has done a couple features on the website. He was actually one of our first interviews, too, when we started up the podcast, when we were calling people on the TRN hotline and talking about his book, Old School Evil. And he was just kind of in a transition period of what to do with his blog and his writing, and decided he's going to focus a little bit more on his writing and writing books and such, and kind of transition his outlet of talking about old cartoons and kind of that era. He's actually going to come over to the Retro Network for a little bit and get some drafts posted. He's going to write some new stuff for us. He's also got a great library, too, of just posts on old school cartoons that I think would fit right in with everything we do on the Retro Network. So welcome in Brian Cave as you see him and see some of his articles come up and show up on the website. So glad to have you, Brian.
Yep. Welcome aboard, my friend.
And then what do we got coming up on the next Wax Pack flashback? I actually already know because I watched your Saturday Night Fever episode, but I'll let you tell everybody.
Well, the Saturday Night Fever episode dropped just a few days ago, but coming up this week, NASCAR season is about to start with the Daytona 500. So a pack of Pro Set Winston Cup cards from 1991. I was a big NASCAR fan back then, so I've never opened a pack of these, so that it was interesting to see what's in there. And I'll go ahead and give people a teaser for the next episode. Beyond that, we talked about it some today with Lace and Sonny and these ladies. It's going to be a pack of American Gladiator cards coming up the next week. So
never had a pack of Gladiator cards, so I'm interested in seeing those.
Oh, I've opened those before. I love those cards.
Yeah. Are they all like red, white, and blue and the whole nine?
Great stickers, puzzle pieces on the back, pictures of all the games. There's pictures of all the gladiators. Oh, man. Yeah.
You said the S word. Stickers.
Oh, one of the packs I opened here a while back, the sticker in it was Nitro. And it looked like he was falling off of something when they took this picture. It looked like he's dropping a Randy Savage big elbow from the top rope, but it's Nitro. So.
I'm gonna have to sift through those cards. I wonder if did you send me one of the Gladiators? I can't remember.
I'm sure I did.
I'm gonna have to open that up and see what sticker I got in there and add it to my Trapper Keeper. Maybe it'll be Lay's. All right, then coming up as far as podcasts go this week, we've got Wizards episode 4 dropping tomorrow. Very excited about that.
Yes.
And
can't get enough Wizards.
You cannot. I'm telling you, man. I just love those shows. And then Sequel Quest, they've got a brand new episode coming up this Friday on a sequel to The Wedding Singer. I thought that was interesting. Never really thought about how they would spin off that or do another one, but anxious to hear what these guys have to say for The Wedding Singer 2. And then just check out, don't forget our just weekly features. We got the Way Back Wednesday, every Wednesday with Eric, and he is going through the music charts of 1983. That's always fun, and see what's the hot song of the week each week.
The real fun part of those is after you read his analysis and take on it, he puts together a Spotify playlist of that week's top songs that each week you can refresh your own playlist with. So
absolutely
you can follow along actually audio wise in your commute.
Yeah, he loves those Spotify playlists, man. And even when we do those situation jukebox, he's on top of that. So if you're big into Spotify, check out Way Back Wednesday each week and grab that playlist, and you'll be happy you did as you're doing your commute the rest of the week. And then we've got our Picard. We're going week to week on our reviews for Picard. That's actually with Eric's son Brady. And he'll have a new review of episode 4 coming up this Friday. Don't forget about that. And just a reminder, I did put the retro streaming guide together for February. And I've been, as new channels and new content, this kind of comes through my feed, I've been updating that. So that's a good place to bookmark and make sure you're checking out, seeing where all your favorite movies and shows are lining up in the streaming world. But I think that's going to be it, man. Did you have anything else you want to throw in?
No, just remind everybody to support our sponsor and give your Valentine a ding dong for Valentine's Day.
That's going to be the background as I create the podcast artwork for this week. A big ding dong. All right. Well, it's always fun, man. Always fun to do the show.
I do have one update from something last week. I still have not found the Green Hornet movie DVD. We know it's here somewhere. The case is still empty, so we're still looking.
Well, when you find it, make sure you take a picture and then throw it up there on Twitter so we can all like breathe again. You know, we're walking on pins and needles here. All right, at TRN Social to find us on Twitter, at RD80s, at Yesterdayville. And don't forget to leave us a review in your favorite app you are listening to right now. We would appreciate it. So for Mickey, this is Jason. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you again next week.
Thanks for listening to the Retro Network Podcast channel. Make sure you listen to all of the great podcasts we have to offer right here in this feed. If you enjoy our channel, please give us a 5-star rating in your favorite podcast app. Connect with us on social media by following TRN Social and visit the retronetwork.com website for your daily retro fix. Come back next week for another episode of the Retro Network Podcast.